I don't know about you, but sometimes over the course of my own spiritual life, I have found it difficult to find a quiet time to spend time in God with prayer. Early on in my pilgrimage of faith, I thought there was really only one way to spend quiet time with God. You sit down in a chair, you open a Bible, you read scripture, and you try to be quiet and pray. But what I soon discovered is I couldn't do it. At least not for long. My mind went in all kinds of directions and I couldn't concentrate. I couldn't focus. And if I did, it was only for a moment before my mind was in 1,000 other places. And so I felt pretty bad about it. What's wrong with me? Why couldn't I spend those moments with the most important part of my life? My relationship with God. Everybody else seemed to be able to do it. I heard ministers talk about it, spending quiet time with God, but I just couldn't do it. What was wrong with me? I think we all struggle at times with finding a quiet time with God. But one of the problems is that we've been taught, unfortunately, that one size fits all. That there's only one way to connect with God. Well, that's simply not true. You see, God created us all differently. He made us unique. We're all wired differently. We all have different temperaments, different personalities. And so we connect with God differently. Just as a parent connects differently with their children because their children are each differently. You don't connect with your children all the same. And the same is said about our relationship with God. That's why we're offering a Bible study on Wednesday nights beginning Wednesday, June 19th. We have a dinner each Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, either a covered dish potluck or a prepared meal. We always let you know. And then after the dinner, we have a Bible study. Well, beginning June 19th, for 5 weeks, we'll be looking at a book entitled Sacred Pathways, 9 Ways to Connect with God by Gary Thomas. It's a DVD study where we'll spend about 20 minutes looking at a DVD presented by Mr. Thomas and then talking about these 9 pathways that we connect to God. That is 9 ways that we might be wired. We may be wired more than one way. And hopefully we'll identify the different ways that we can connect with God and some of the perhaps disciplines that we can develop in our own lives to better have a relationship with God in our own quiet times. Most of us don't have sanctuaries in our homes that we can gather in on a regular daily basis to spend time alone with God, so we have to find our own sanctuaries. It may be a chair sitting down reading a Bible for some of us. That works for us. But for others, it may be something different. And so, Mr. Thomas, Gary, offers some different ways. For some of us, it may be outdoors as a naturalist. We find God closest when we are in nature. That's where we discover God. For others, it may be with our senses. We experience God through music or through visual arts or something of that nature. For others, it may be more traditionalist. We like liturgy. We like worship. We like prayer books. For others, it may be activist. If we're involved in something, a cause of justice or righteousness that we can involve ourselves in. Maybe through caregiving of another person draws us closer to God. Or maybe we're contemplative. We simply need to be still and silent. Maybe something with our mind. We need to think. We need to be challenged in our thinking processes. He's going to guide us through looking at all these different ways of connecting with God. And maybe there's something for us to glean from his thoughts that maybe will help us in our own spiritual journeys, our own spiritual connectedness to God. There's not just one way that we can relate to God. And so on Wednesday nights, we'll talk about this together. Maybe there's something we can learn that'll help us in our own spiritual growth, in our own spiritual prayer life, that'll help us in our walk with God. So we don't beat ourselves up when we can't sit down simply in a chair with a Bible and a prayer book and a journal and find ourselves bouncing off the walls like I do sometimes. But maybe God's created us uniquely in a special way to connect with Him. So I hope you'll join us on Wednesday nights, beginning June 19th. You can come for dinner or not, but we'll join together at 6 o'clock, and then about 6:45, we'll join together for the study. The study will be between 45 minutes and an hour long. And hopefully, through it all, we'll find a best spiritual pathway that we can relate to God, grow closer in our relationship with God, and learn from one another. So June 19th, the start date, 5 Wednesday nights in a row, we'll gather together. And we hope that you'll join us on this spiritual pilgrimage as we connect with God and grow in our faith. God bless.